Everybody wants to know who the quarterback is, and I get that. Everybody wants to know who WR2 will be if Omar Khan's actually going to go and find one. I get that too. What about the other position that's pretty clearly unsettled? Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into hockey and or baseball. I also offer daily shots, Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. OTA's week 1 wrapped up yesterday. As promised, the week didn't produce much in the way of news. Neither will the next one. I'm going to go ahead and guess right now. But there was one little thing that happened. Okay, maybe a couple, but one related to this still uncertain position that I'm talking about, and that's slot corner. And I would really hope before everybody goes and slams the stop button on this episode, it's worth thinking about that in the year 2025, we really need to start taking this very specific role on the defense a lot more seriously, because it does make a massive difference with what actually constitutes most teams' base defense. Everything is about covering all those wide receivers they send your way, and of course the tight ends. And even within this scheme and this alignment, even with the inside linebackers skewing more toward the coverage this year than they did last year, and by that I mean just presuming that Cole Holcomb is healthy again, you're still going to need a significant showing out of your slot corner. And when I say that, of course, I mean significant as in intercepting Aaron Rodgers twice in the same game. Our mutual friend, Beanie Bishop. Beanie was not only a rookie in 2024, he was an undrafted rookie. And over the entirety of last summer, through OTAs, through minicamp, through everything, even into the season, Mike Tomlin didn't want to declare him as anything, as being the starter, as being the default guy. Beanie didn't even get one of those backhanded hot hand compliments. And that's one of those Tomlin things that has worked for him over the years. He does know how to push the undrafted guys. But there he was this week at OTAs, lined up as the starter. Beanie confirmed that as being his status in those drills. When he came off the field, I asked him about his approach to this summer versus last summer, and he had kind of the answer I was expecting.
Well, do you feel like you're going in like you got to compete for a spot, you got to fight?
Yeah, for sure. They always bringing guys in. We got a 7th-round pick. He plays in the slot, he returns. So obviously he's here to take my spot. So it's not really my spot. It's my spot right now. But you got to always work and keep that competitive edge to you remain one team.
Now, for anyone who has not tracked the slot corner battle all that closely, the only realistic competition, there are others in the mix in terms of, if you're really, really digging through the depth chart, is Brandon Echols. He's a free agent signee who came over from the Jets. He's 27 years old. He was a 6th-round pick, which really isn't all that far from being undrafted. And he's appeared in 57 games over the past 4 years, most of those as a backup. 5 total interceptions, including a couple as a rookie and a couple last year, and 16 passes defensed spread out over those 4 years. Now, about a month ago, when Echols came in to meet with us in the media room, he was asked more than once, as I recall, about a preference or a leaning related to playing inside or outside, and he just kept saying that it doesn't matter to him. He would be happy to do one or the other, and that's actually been his history as well. He is capable of going to the outside if needed, which to me would signify that he is both willing and capable of being what, let's say, Cam Sutton was to the Steelers a couple of years ago. And that's a nice thing to have around. Beanie is not that. Beanie is a slot corner, or he's not playing. So I don't know how seriously to take this competition, or it's going to get presented, I'm sure, as a camp battle. And I don't even know that by the time the Steelers are ready to face Eccles' old team in the opener, that you're going to have an answer as to who's playing or who's starting at slot corner until you see Beanie run out onto the field. Now, does this mean that the position is a weakness if you have this kind of uncertainty? In general, yes. Ideally, you'd have someone whose performance would be at such a level that you would say, wow, that's absolutely his job. Beanie's stats as a rookie, all 17 games played, 45 tackles, 30 of them solo. That's not a bad number in and of itself. Was credited with half a sack and a fumble recovery. Had 4 picks, including those 2 of Rodgers, and 7 passes defense. That's a really nice number, except for one thing. It probably means they're throwing your way a lot. When you get down to some of the analytics, he doesn't grade out all that well. He allowed 40 catches. Now, that put him at 50th among all 222 participating cornerbacks in 2024. So that part's not bad. But his coverage grade, this is according to Pro Football Focus, was 142nd out of those 222. And I can tell you, no matter what you think of PFF, I've heard concerns from within the Steelers about his coverage. That's the area that he most needs to shore up. Now, he knows that. He accepts that, and he has, to that end, dropped a little bit of weight. He didn't get into how much exactly, but a little bit, and elaborated that he feels a little bit faster, a little bit more explosive. We'll see. You're going to be hearing a lot about this one once they get to Latrobe. When we come back, J1Q.
Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454.
Today's J1Q comes from Joe, who says, DK, it sure seems like this is a heavy lean from Mike Tomlin on this Aaron Rodgers decision. Where is Omar Khan in all of this? Isn't he most responsible for the roster? What are the checks and balances? Is it that apparent that Tomlin is running all aspects of this decision? Surely Omar and Andy Weidel and Art Rooney can't all be on the same page. Someone in a leadership position has to be responsible for the lack of a roadmap. This is a billion-dollar franchise with no plan for the most important position. Where is Omar? There's a lot of repetition that goes into my answers when it comes to how the Steelers hierarchy works. The only veto power in the entire thing, and this is the only certainty in the entire thing, belongs to the owner. So the one thing that you can take to the bank in this specific scenario is that A, Tomlin wants Rodgers. We know that. We're not guessing at that. And B, Rooney's on board with that. Everything else is conjecture. Now, does Rooney appear to be on board with just about everything that Tomlin wants? Yes. Nonetheless, that would also have to be the case here. Now, what you're asking about, and you brought up both of their names between Kahn and Weidel, is whether or not there's some sort of internal football power struggle, who has the final say, who does the roster, who does the coaching, and everything else. And the way this actually works, or if you want to be a cynic about it, the way that it doesn't work, is that all things get discussed. Everything gets put out onto the table, so to speak. Everybody has their say. All of the individuals that you listed, and I'm sure more than that in a case like this, have the opportunity to pipe up. They might get animated about it. They might get passionate about it. They might stay completely silent about it if they believe that others would be better positioned to put forth their own stance. From there, the goal of the collective is to get everybody on board, even if they aren't in their heart of hearts or whatever. The idea is to figure out which way we, the Steelers, want to go, and then let's all get behind that. Well, this isn't exactly going to surprise anybody here because this isn't some hot insider material, but there is one voice that booms louder than all the rest. I don't mean that literally. I mean that in terms of who he is. And that's Tomlin, and that's going to be Tomlin under any circumstance associated with any GM or associate GM, or for that matter, this particular owner. Remember that all of these adults were in this same room in the middle of last season when Tomlin himself acknowledged being, and I quote, the Lone Ranger, end quote, in outvoicing everybody else to get Russell Wilson starting ahead of Justin Fields. The prevailing thinking since then is that, yeah, Tomlin actually was kind of alone on this one. But they all got behind it. So this stage that's been set wouldn't be any different. It just wouldn't. And for the record, I wouldn't be blaming Omar for it. You asked twice, where is Omar? Where is Omar? Omar can only have the authority and the voice that's assigned to him by the boss, and that's Rooney. And if Rooney listens to Tomlin and you're in that room, you get it. You understand what's happening and what's ultimately going to happen. I appreciate the question, Joe. It's a fair one to bring up, but this is the best I can do on it. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Steelers. We'll be back Monday for another one of these morning shows. Don't forget to tune in today at 4 p.m. Eastern for a double shot of Steelers. That's our live video program that we do on YouTube and, of course, on the DK Pittsburgh Sports app and website. Hope to see you then.